This is Raphael.
I'm Loryn.
We're the Pacheco siblings, and welcome to the Hypercube podcast, a talk show in which two siblings converse about anything and everything. We are joined today by a very special guest. 0n3Appl3 is a software engineer, Minecraft machinimator, writer, director, composer, and the founder of Corrupted Films. He's also an admin on the Machinima Hub community, as well as a friend and team member here at P-Cubed. 0n3Appl3, welcome to the show.
Hey, hi. Yeah, happy to be here.
Yeah, it's really awesome to have you. I feel like you're kind of a long anticipated guest here. We've
I'm flattered.
We've definitely been going down the line of, like I was saying before we started rolling, like OG Machinima Hub people. And you're definitely, I think you're a director of Minecraft Machinima that I've been following closely for a while. Obviously, we've worked together on Beyond, which if you haven't seen it, anybody who's listening, go see it. It's amazing. One of the coolest videos on our channel, in my opinion. You directed that for us I wrote it and did voice directing, which was really cool to just basically get to do the parts of the process that I enjoy most.
Just
and
sit back.
Let you, roll your creativity into the machinima process. But yeah, you do a lot of really awesome stuff over on Corrupted Films. I'm genuinely a fan. And
thank you so much.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to perhaps talk first about what you're working on now, because you are currently in production for Red Tears Unfolded, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, so Red Tears was one of the earlier, I think, films you did on that channel. And those definitely was pretty much my introduction to you, was watching the original Red Tears. So what kind of made you want to revisit that?
It's quite interesting. It's been a wild year of machinimas. I've definitely noticed a trend that people want to revisit their old projects. They kind of just get back to their roots. Like you would have heard Ray, like he's been rebooting a bunch of his Spider-Man stuff.
He's like in the middle of
we just talked to them about that on this very podcast a couple weeks back.
I also got a fellow friend, Kit Kat Galaxy. She's reworking her old series called Awoken, and it's becoming a film. And that's pretty exciting to hear, like what she's been working on. And also, of course, myself working on Red Tears Unfolded.
I guess we wouldn't know anything about revisiting our old properties. I say as we're in season 2 of the
But yeah, I think it's nice to go back to your old projects and see how much you've grown as a creator.
Yeah, that's really awesome, because that's true. I guess if you look back at the original one, I mean, it's definitely still good, but I feel like your style and your voice has evolved so much since then. It'll be interesting to see how that same sort of themes or style kind of melds with your current abilities. So is that, what point in the process are you at in that right now? Like, are you still shooting it, or?
Oh yeah, I'm still filming it. Just sent out an update to the cast that I'm currently on page 21. That's almost halfway through now.
Oh wow.
Okay.
This is a long script. Yeah, I haven't worked on the project this big since Diversion.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Yeah, that is pretty huge. So, I mean, is there anything you could spoil about that then? No, of course not. But,
tease.
Tease, of course, because it's the original one was basically, how do I describe it? It was like a kind of neo-noir, like very gritty, like detective kind of investigative film. It really felt to me like a little like David Fincher-esque, a little bit Nicholas Winding Refn. So what can you say about Red Tears Unfolded? Is it going to be a similar sort of thing, just kind of like a kind of gritty, artsy detective thriller type stuff?
Yeah, I'd still aim to make it feel like that, artsy, dark, detective kind of project. I mentioned in my casting call video that it will still follow similar story beats as the original. It's just very refined. It's a very refined version of the original.
Right. And much longer, that's for sure.
So is it like a remake?
Yeah, there isn't much I could spoil or tease, but the scenes I've filmed so far are amazing. At least that's what Ray and Kit Kat thinks.
Ooh. So you're getting good feedback already.
Yeah, getting good feedback already. Not yet color graded, no sound effects, no music yet. Just the raw footage.
Right,
just by that, it's already pretty amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's awesome. I'm excited for that one, honestly.
Yeah, thank you.
I saw the teaser that you put out for it when you kind of start out production, and already some of the shots that you've unveiled are looking pretty spectacular. Amazing cinematography as usual. I kind of want to talk about that too, because I feel like there's a lot of machinima creators who don't put as much focus on like the photography, right? And don't really refine their knowledge on that as much. Whereas I notice like the visuals and the composition are always kind of front and center in your work. And yeah, I was wondering, is that like a very deliberate thing that you just aspire to do? Or is it that just like kind of how things worked out? Like, is that an actual emphasis for you, would you say?
Oh, okay. So in high school, I did take 2 years of film and television classes. I've translated that knowledge into making machinimas, and it kind of comes naturally to me. I don't really actively think about like the framing. It's just, yeah, I don't know how to explain it. It just comes naturally to me. Yeah. Not to sound
on instinct,
and not to sound overly confident. It just it feels right.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I like that because I think, yeah, instinct is definitely a good thing to have. And it definitely takes a certain bit of experience. Like you said, you did some classes a while back. So it's like you probably do have some of that knowledge just in your reserves, but then you can get enough to like follow your instinct and just have it come out right. Because yeah, you definitely have like a strong visual look to your films. And like it's consistent too. I noticed like across the different projects, like you could kind of pinpoint, like even if like I didn't see your name attached to something, like if I saw a shot, or a film that you did, like I could kind of tell like, that you have certain like signatures, which is like a really cool thing that I think is definitely I think a sign of some artistic maturity. But
thank you.
yeah, definitely love your visual style. I wanted to kind of talk about that too then, like I guess as a filmmaker, because I think you definitely have like a bit of a style and a voice that I think is kind of distinct for machinima creators. I really don't know too many other people that are making machinimas in the style that you are, which I absolutely love because it's a genre. You deal with like genres and tones and styles that I love to see in films, but that people rarely do as machinimas. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I guess what I'm very curious about is what kind of influenced your tastes in like film or media in general. Like what are some of your inspirations? Who are some of the people that you're watching personally?
Oh, okay. I'd say it goes all the way back to English classes. As part of our assessment, we have to watch films and write essays about them.
Mm-hmm.
And the type of genres that they showed us were like post-apocalyptic, some sci-fi. Definitely has some influences there in my work.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if anyone gets any hint of it, but I do like Christopher Nolan's work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh yes, love Nolan here as well. So yeah, I could definitely see that influence as well on your sort of style. Are you a big fan of David Fincher as well? I feel like I see like a little bit of like David Fincher in some of your work, but it's hard to it's hard to say.
That's the funny thing. You mentioned that, and I've got no idea who he is.
But definitely see. I think like for me, like Fincher and Nolan are kind of those guys in like a category of their own as far as like art house directors who made it really big in Hollywood. But yeah, definitely. I can definitely see some of those influences. Are there any other like names that you would say are like kind of like big on your influences that were very formative to you?
No, nothing that comes to mind really. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, I mean, I guess you kind of, and even so, like we talk about that tone and that genre, but you've kind of branched out a bit more recently. Because I was thinking of like Workspaces is a new kind of sort of recurring series segment that you've been doing, and that's very different than your usual thing.
Yeah, very different. Yes.
Yeah. So where did that come from? And for those who don't know, it's like a kind of basically like The Office style kind of mockumentary comedy sketches using Minecraft Machinima as the medium. So where did that come from?
I watched The Office. That was basically it. So I got inspired to make my own.
So you just binge The Office and we're just like, I could do this.
Yeah, I could make my own.
Now, here's the important question. The British Office or the American Office?
Oh, the American Office.
Mm-hmm. Ooh.
I feel like the humor, I align with that kind of humor than the British Office, to be honest.
Mm-hmm. Oh, really? Wow. So that was pretty much the whole impetus behind it. Yeah, it's definitely a ton of fun. I thought that was very unexpected to see from you.
Oh yeah,
but also
it is very unexpected. Fun. Yeah, and just to add to that, I am working on 3 more episodes. I hope to release them sometime next year. Mm-hmm. Some good ideas. I think those will be really interesting to delve into for the script writing process.
Yeah, for sure. Now, I'm very curious, is the process like very similar for those as with your other films, or would you say that, it's any like easier to produce than any of your kind of bigger, more darker productions, or is it kind of comparable?
It's a lot easier, definitely. I can be a lot more carefree with the writing, especially it's sitcom.
Right.
I admit I'm not funny. I'm not a funny person, but to others, they say I am. So I'll just roll with what I do, and I guess it kind of worked.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I'm in a similar sort of boat. Like I don't really consider myself a naturally funny person, so I kind of try to play to my strengths in terms of writing, and that's why my sort of work kind of gravitates towards darker and more serious drama over comedy. So I kind of feel you there.
I tend to be the one to inject all the humor into our scripts.
You really are. Like you practically wrote an entire comic relief character into Edith season 2. Yeah. That is all on you.
I'm looking forward to it.
So, okay, yeah. So Workspace is really cool. I have to talk to you about Diversion while we have you here too.
Yeah.
Because that was such a huge thing. I mean, it's very long. Like you said, it was and the longest thing you did before Red Tears unfolded, for sure. So yeah, that kind of served, it seemed, as like a bit of a foundation of the kind of lore that you're dealing with now, because I know a lot of your works after that have basically been set in the same universe as Diversion. And so how did that come about? What was kind of the inspiration behind it? And like, at what point did you realize that you're going to make this into like a big series?
Yeah, I'd say my number one inspiration is Detroit Become Human. Obsessed with that game.
Really?
Loved it. Yeah, I loved it. I mean, my Minecraft skin for quite a while was an android from Detroit Become Human. I was that obsessed. So it definitely had a huge influence in writing the series and the Corrupted universe as a whole. I wanted to do something that is a mix of post-apocalyptic. So that was the genre I was obsessed with in high school, and then mixing it in with sci-fi android themes. And that's what Diversion is, the post-apocalyptic android invasion series. And the subsequent stories after that just revolve around the events of Diversion.
Yeah. So I think that's actually very intriguing, though. That's one thing that really struck me about Diversion, is I feel like that's a concept like that we haven't seen really fully exploited in pop culture, is that style of like post-apocalyptic but with robots, right? I think we've seen a lot of like robot apocalypses, but not post-apocalypses with robots. Like there are very few examples of that I could think of. Like maybe like what was it, Horizon Zero Dawn or things like that. But like other than that, like there's not really a whole lot of media that sort of explores that dynamic. And even so, that's a completely different genre, I think, than what Diversion is doing with it. Like it feels like Diversion to me is like the tone and style and aesthetic of like a zombie apocalypse, but with robots instead of zombies.
Yeah.
But it's interesting because, like you said, all the follow-up films you did after that, they kind of revolve around Diversion. And you've definitely explored like all sorts of different, I think, even genres within that. Like some of them are more like science fictional, some of them are more, kind of cerebral in that way. Some of them are kind of mystery. I think probably one of my favorite films of yours, to be honest, is Joy Dema.
Yeah.
I really love that one. I think the tension and the atmosphere in that is so taut, and yeah, it's just that for me is definitely one of my top ones from the Corrupted Universe. But
thank you.
Yeah,
it is one of my favorites as well.
Oh, really? Yeah, that was a while ago, I think, at this point, but it's still a good one in my opinion. So yeah, kind of where like is that a sort of universe you plan on doing a lot more in? Because I know you've kind of been, like I said, branching out into different things between workspaces and red tiers these days. Or do you think you've kind of run the course on that sort of lore? Even though it feels like there's still a lot of unanswered mysteries within it that
for sure
have never been addressed. So I'm kind of curious what the plans are for the future of that.
Yeah, I do have a phase 2 in the works.
Mm-hmm.
It's been in the back burner for quite a few years now because university has been a priority.
Right.
So I had to work on little projects in the meantime. And well, now that I'm pretty much wrapped up my studies, I could revisit those projects, maybe change a few things now that I've improved my writing quite substantially, and now I got some more friends to help read through my scripts and make sure everything is logically sound.
Yeah.
That's always helpful to get more eyes just on your scripts.
Yes.
Just so that only ever refines most of the time if you could trust the people that you are collaborating with.
Yeah, for sure.
Now I'm also very curious if you will ever do a Diversion season 2, because the season 1 was it seems like it was such a huge endeavor, but that was a while ago at this point. Is there any plans for that, or is that something you could talk about?
So we were planning something with Ray, just thinking of making a Diversion season 2, but it would be different characters this time around.
So
still not set in stone. Yeah, it could feel like more of a spin-off Diversion than Diversion, really. But those are still early planning stages.
Gotcha. Yeah, because I think like Diversion itself, I'm trying to think through. Is that like the latest in the timeline of all of the like Corrupted Universe films, or is there anything that is later? Because I feel like most of the other stuff are like prequel stuff to that, right?
Yeah, I just got to check the playlist. It's been quite a while. Okay, so this one's a bit of unexpected. The latest one in the timeline is Asphalt, which is completely unrelated to the events of Diversion.
Honestly, I didn't even think that was like considered a part of that universe.
It's an unexpected entry, but those characters may make an appearance in future projects.
Oh, interesting. But yeah, it does, like I said, it's such an intriguing kind of concepts that serve as the foundation of that universe. And I think there's this sense of like atmosphere and also mystery that I think is really appealing about it. And like I said, there's still a lot of unanswered mysteries that I'm very curious if how that's going to kind of affect things going forward. Now, you've also kind of done a few things, not only on your own franchises at Corrupted Films, but also branching out into other people's work. Right? You did a TSC Studio film, Crimes of Loryn. You also did Beyond, an Edenneth Story for us. So, I mean, talk about I guess what's that like for you? Working on other people's stories at this point that you've kind of become like a sought after machinimator. How does that compare to working on your own stuff?
Kind words. Kind words. I'd say, yeah, I think the first person to approach me was Yannicka. She was asking if I'd like to work on a project with her, and I said yes. This was way back. This is in 2019, so we recently became friends as well, and having learned what we make. So yeah, knowing that she makes medieval fantasy machinimas, the Shattered Crown, I wanted to do something detective related because that was what I was more familiar with. I see with red tears. So we spent a few months just gathering some ideas on how we could incorporate a detective story, and yeah, 2 years later, it's finally out. Such a huge project. Really proud of it. And yeah, Loryn is one of my favorite places in the Shattered Crown universe world. It's just amazing to look at.
Oh yeah, the set building they do over there is like for the actual builds in Minecraft are pretty spectacular.
Yeah. And then later on, I was approached by you, Raph, about working on a short film together. And I have to be honest, I've never watched the Identity Chronicles before. But so it was really interesting to just watch through, the original series and just delve into the lore, and I wanted to have a part in this story as well. And I'm just so glad to be on board on the Beyond project.
Oh yeah, well that was fantastic, and yeah, you really, I remember you kind of talking about that when I was first onboarding you, how you never seen the original series, but you did watch it while you were preparing for that shoot, and yeah, it was kind of cool getting your kind of reactions to that. But yeah, you were definitely the name that came to the top of the list when we were thinking of people that we could collaborate with for another short film within the Deneth universe. And that was really the first non-main series short that we've done in it. The first thing we've done in that world proper since the release of the original show way back in 2017. And that was, at that point, 4 years prior, because that came out in 2021. So yeah, like it was kind of a big deal to us personally. And yeah, we kind of wanted to branch out a little bit and involve other creators' voices and also help spread out the workload now that we have more resources to be able to compensate people for that. And so we also wanted it to kind of be a showcase of where we've, how far we've come since then. Bringing more people on board creatively was definitely a big part of that. And yeah, I think that was a collaboration that definitely did not disappoint, because we wanted to find someone who matched the specific style of this short. And it was a very idiosyncratic film to say the least. It is not something that I think everybody would, every filmmaker is capable of directing for, because cosmic horror is a very specific type of genre. And also doing that kind of, it's kind of atmospheric and cerebral and all of that. And like, those are all traits that, when I thought about it, I'm like, yeah, that's like pretty much the Corrupted film style. So like, there wasn't really, anybody else we'd thought of who would be better fitting to direct that one, and you knocked it out of the ballpark.
Oh, thank you.
But yeah, can you talk a little bit about the process of that short? Because like I said, I wrote it and I did the voice directing. So pretty much when you got to shooting, you already had all of the voice lines and everything, and I'd edited and all of those down to pretty much the pacing for each of those respective scenes, and you pretty much had to put it to photography. And then of course you had the Edenith world that we use.
Yeah, I got the world, got the skins, got the audio files. Yep, just loaded it in, and well, I join one of the voice chats and you'd come see what I'm working on.
Right. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
So
We drop it every now
those
and
were
then.
fun days.
yeah, that was pretty entertaining to have, just have someone chatting to you while filming. It can be a pretty lonely process just by yourself
Oh, don't I know?
making all the scenes.
Mhm.
Yeah. It's not like the old machinima making days where you have body actors.
Yes, I still
There was
remember
always a
that.
party on set.
It is always a party on set. But yeah, I miss that. But yeah, at least you get more work done in Blockbuster.
It is
That's
true.
also
It is true. You could be way more productive in Blockbuster.
Yes. Yeah. And yeah, it was pretty smooth sailing, just filming everything, making the camera shots in aperture.
Mm.
There was one big issue with filming. I think Loryn, you remember,
Mhm.
was the redstone door
Yeah, that
for the
door.
temple.
Oh my goodness.
I have no idea what was going on with that door. It's like
got
even
no
at the
idea.
final, it was still a little jank, which is interesting because somebody pointed out in the comments, was like, "Oh, I thought that was part of the thing." It was like that the door works in a way that we don't quite understand. It's like, no, it's broken.
No, yeah, I remember seeing that comment in the behind the scenes video because you guys talked about that in the behind the scenes, and yeah, there was a commenter who was just like, "I thought that was completely intentional, like it's part of the mystery of the temple," and it does certainly explain the character's like awestruck reaction afterwards. So it felt like it did feel kind of fitting in that way.
Yeah, but we spent hours trying to troubleshoot this thing, and like we don't know what was going on. Something to do with the interaction between like the command blocks and the way Blockbuster, like the Blockbuster mod, was interacting. Something we don't know, but it was messing up like the sequence. The sequence was getting jacked up.
Yeah.
That's like the most like maintenance tech answer of it was working when I set it up. That's it.
Because like it would work occasionally. Like we would reset the world and then like try it out, and it would work, and then it would suddenly stop working after a while.
But yeah, it was definitely full of its challenges, and I think both of y'all who are kind of I think more involved on the production end made some very interesting decisions that I think made that very unique, especially for the whole mind-bending sequence at the end.
Yeah,
that was really the thing I was most curious how I was going to turn out.
That was basically a big collaboration between like me and Apple, like me on like the art design side of it, like the
right,
art
and you did all the
director,
visual effects, right?
doing all the visual effects, and saying, because like I had to be pretty involved in that so that I can do the effects afterwards. But yeah, that was really fun to kind of collaborate and figure out all the shots and what we needed to do, and getting like what was it called, that shader that like bends the world or whatever.
Oh yeah, trying to remember the name.
Like a Jello shader or something.
Yeah, it's basically like I think it was like an acid shader or something.
Something like that. Yeah.
Is it like Acid Highway or something?
Maybe. Yeah. That sounds right. But like trying to get like the right stuff for that to make it look just the right amount of wonky without being too nauseating.
Yeah, well, and I remember I think I was the one who suggested using that, and then Apple started putting it to use. But you were the one when you were shooting at Apple who actually like made the decision to kind of scale that back and make sure it was a subtle effect instead of being very in your face.
It had the potential to be pretty big. Some of the tests that we were looking at were quite something to look at.
It was very wild.
Was it really that like I would just love to see what some of that test footage might have looked like, because like was it really, I have no idea. All I know is that you guys were like, hey, we need to scale this back, because I want to know, like, would it really have been so wild considering how wild that sequence is supposed to be?
Dude, it was unfilmable probably.
Really?
Yeah, it was crazy.
But yeah, I'm super, super happy with the way that turned out. Yeah, I think y'all nailed that ending mind-bending sequence. And then, yeah, it was just a huge collaborative effort, it felt like. And that was really, really creatively satisfying for me. Because like I said, I was mostly only engaged at the stuff that I care most about anyway, which is the voice directing, the writing, the editing, sound design, stuff like that. And yeah, I had a lot of fun working with that. And it was just yeah, super gratifying to see all the shots come in that you're working on Apple and seeing like, whoa, this is like, yeah, the corrupted film style in the Edenith universe. And it was just kind of a fanboy moment for me.
Um, I'm flattered.
Yeah, so that was one big thing, yeah, we worked on together. Hopefully we could work with you again on something down the line.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, because that was definitely very engaging, and it's definitely hugely positive reception to that.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. People loved that film, and we got nothing but positive feedback. And even recently, like just the other week, I saw we got like a new comment from somebody discovering Edenith, which still happens every once in a while. Because I couldn't read the comment at first because it was completely in a different language. I can't remember what it was, but I think it was Spanish.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah, like there's some Spanish speaker who's going through like I could see them like posting like the episodes like, this is amazing, this is so underrated.
yeah they discovered, they posted on the original series like, whoa, this is really underrated. I used Google Translate to figure out what the comments were saying. Yeah, and then they got to Beyond and that just blew their mind. Like it was like all caps, just like, this is art.
Yeah, that's what they said.
Yeah. Straight up. But really it was like, I would consider that just the essence of filmmaking art, right? It is an inherently collaborative medium. And I think the way all of us and then the cast and everybody that got to work on it, it just felt like everybody brought something to the table.
Yeah, there's a little bit of everybody in that piece. Like, it's very genuine, and like you can tell everybody who's working on it has like some stake in it, right? Like there is some like I like the way I don't remember who said this first, but I like the way that they put it, where like you can see everybody's fingerprints in it, right?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, and it's like so there's like little signatures of everybody who's involved, bring kind of their craftsmanship to the final product, and it's just this huge collaborative effort that really makes that one special in my heart. And it kind of also makes me really stoked for Edenith season 2, because it's basically that to like the nth degree for like 12 whole episodes. So yeah, that being said, it's that was a really, like I said, satisfying experience. Hope to work with you again on something some other time. But
speaking of which,
oh yeah,
I've been revisiting Trial of the Century.
Oh yeah.
I would love to do something court drama related.
We'll have to talk.
Would you want to do one on like more of like the discovery side, where it's like it's not in the court, but it's like going through evidence and finding out everything, like more detective work kind of thing?
Oh, this is up my alley. Let's go.
Because it's like everything in Trial of the Century was all courtroom. It was all like the rhetoric and everything like that, I think. But like going through and having like a more like detective approach to it and figuring out.
Yeah, because the discovery process, like you said, is kind of delves into that genre that could fit very easily into that kind of more detective style. Yeah, for sure. We might have to talk. We might have to talk after this.
No, I'm excited.
Oh, yeah, I know. I would, because I love. Yeah, I mean, the courtroom drama is a genre that I love, and I think legal and political dramas in general, I'm actually really attracted to. I think that's like perhaps something that I don't get to work with as often, though, even though I have a huge love for those genres. But that being said, I kind of love the writing of that genre more than the filmmaking of it, because like Trial of the Century, I think that's the reason why Trial of the Century was on the back burner for so long, because remember there was like a couple years went by between writing that and filming it. And so it was but it's definitely a genre I have love for, and so for sure I think that might be an ideal direction to go, I think, if we were to do something again. But for sure we'll have to talk after the recording's off.
Yes, I'm excited.
Yeah. So I also was kind of interested in, because one thing that you've started doing in some of your more recent machinimas is you've also been doing like an original score for them. Right. So how did that come about? Because first off, I also really like your scores too. I think they have a really cool sound to them. But that was something you've only been, I think, started doing more recent films, at least in the past couple of years. So how did that come about? What was that something you'd been thinking about doing for a while, or was it just kind of something you discovered you enjoyed doing?
I've been thinking about it for quite a while. I'm just not really good at it, so I just gave it a shot with Droidima, and it turned out pretty good for my first time. And then I started doing that again for Onyx Rebooted, and then I did it again for One Lane Bridge, and I hope to do it again for Red Tears Unfolded, but we'll see.
Yeah, well, I will say, yeah, your score definitely has a way of setting the tone in particularly like for your style. It kind of has that like unified vision, I think, of the fact that you're doing like the writing and directing and the composing, that everything just kind of syncs up perfectly, you know? And it's like pretty much everything is exactly the tone that you want it to be. Because in my opinion, music is hugely important in film, because it kind of orchestrates the audience's feelings in a way, right? It sets the tone perhaps more clearly than any other aspect besides the visuals. And so like being able to have all of that, you know, kind of in-house for you, I think is definitely something that kind of elevates your work a bit, where you could tell there's this like sync between all of the different elements. And yeah, it works out beautifully. So I'm really excited now for Red Tears and for the soundtrack.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I guess, how'd you kind of get into that? Because I think we talked about it briefly before. I can't remember if you said you don't really have much of a like musical background, right? In creating music.
No, not really. Unless you count music theory classes that I took back in middle school.
Okay, so you do have
those were really basic.
Back in middle school.
Yeah, just some theory. Yeah, very basic theory background.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So but I mean, I know you're listening to music constantly though, because you're on your Spotify. Yeah. So you do certainly have that taste for it, but so that's pretty much all you went into it with, was like basic like middle school music theory and a DAW. Well, I'm curious, what DAW did you use to produce that? All of your soundtracks?
Yeah, so for Droidima, I use Soundtrap. So it's a free DAW online that anyone can use. And then after that, I shifted over to GarageBand on my iPad.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow.
I remember GarageBand.
Wait, so you made a score on GarageBand?
Yes.
That's inspiring.
This is the first time I've ever heard of somebody switching to GarageBand.
Yeah, I work differently, I guess.
I mean, that's the beauty of art in general, is, you know, what matters is the results. Whatever tools you got to use to make it work. Whatever works for you. But yeah, it definitely works beautiful, because it sets the atmosphere and the tone perfectly for your particular style.
Thank you.
Let's say there's one thing I wanted to ask as well, because like you said, you've done like film and TV stuff like in high school, and you had like music in middle school. Do you have like any other like outside of what you're doing now, like artistic like endeavors that you're doing?
No, not really. Just filmmaking and the music.
It's kind of your main creative outlet.
Yeah, not really a sporty kind of person. I prefer indoors. Unless you count programming some hobby projects.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm curious about that with programming.
Because I remember I saw you were posting like, what was it, like game demos, I think? Or like little stuff on the community server.
Yeah. I haven't worked on those for quite a while. I kind of just left it there for collecting dust. Haven't done anything to it.
Was what it was.
Yeah, it's what it was.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah. So, but yeah, you don't really have any particular ambitions with those at the moment?
No, just for fun.
Yeah, just kind of doing it for the fun of it.
Yeah,
and I kind of wanted to talk about the kind of programming side a little bit too, because you're getting ready to graduate from software engineering as your major, and
yes, that's correct.
Yeah, so I guess what sort of attracted you to that, and what are your sort of ambitions with programming? What kind of got you into that?
Yeah, I got into computers from a really young age. Probably like maybe I was 3, being exposed to
Oh wow.
to old computers. Yeah, and from like a really early age too, I really wanted to do something programming related. I just didn't know what job exactly I wanted to pursue, but I definitely wanted to do something in the computing space, and that kind of stuck with me throughout my school career.
Oh wow, yeah. So, I mean, it's certainly a good career field to get into, seeing as we're in such an IT-driven world nowadays, and obviously there are countless avenues there.
Yes.
So, do you have any, programming languages of preference, or do you dabble in a little bit of everything?
Yeah, I do a bit of Java, Python, C#. More recently, I've been doing more web development. So working with frameworks such as React, Vue.js, some Node.js, all the web technologies that I've been exposed to in my degree so far. Well, not so far. I've already finished, but yeah. But yeah.
Well, I guess you never stop learning. So
you never stop learning. That's the industry that I'm in. Is always keep learning. Otherwise, you will fall behind.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, and it feels like it's such a constantly changing landscape nowadays too. And honestly, I don't know how to keep up with a lot of that side of the industry nowadays, because it seems like there's so many different dynamics, so many new frameworks that are constantly being developed. But it does seem like there's also some clear winners that have stood the test of time, right? Like you mentioned, kind of C# and Python. You see like you see those in a lot of places. I think even Blender uses Python as its programming language, doesn't it? Or
yeah, it's Python.
Had no idea.
Yeah. So then, like Blender's open source, right? So it's like you could if you know how to screw with Python, you can screw with Blender as much as you want. That being said, as we're probably gonna be winding this interview down to a close soon, but I was wondering what's next for Corrupted Films in general. I know you're working on Red Tears Unfolded at the moment, so I'm sure that'll keep you in production for a while, seeing how big of a script I now know it is.
Yeah. I would say it's 47 pages. That's how long Red Tears Unfolded is.
Oh dang!
Currently on page 21.
Yeah. So what's next? What are your plans? Especially now that you're graduating, you got different directions you can go. Which congratulations on that again. But
thank you.
What are your sort of plans for the future of Corrupted Films?
Yeah. So obviously, I'm gonna continue working on Red Tears Unfolded. It will be released hopefully early 2024. And after that, I'll do a bit of work on Workspaces, the 3 episodes I've been planning to write. And also, I haven't done a pure sci-fi project before. So
I saw you're teasing something space related.
Yeah. That Project Solaris is a sci-fi project that I'm thinking of writing.
Oh, I'm so amped.
Have you two heard or played the game called Starfield?
Starfield? I have
not, no.
Yes,
I've heard of it, but I haven't played it.
Yeah, I'm very inspired by that game. So, space exploration, sci-fi project. That's pretty much the gist of it. And I'm pretty pumped to get to work on that after Red Tears.
Yeah.
Oh, man, yeah. That's exciting.
Yeah. And after that, I mentioned Asphalt not too long ago. I am thinking of remaking it into a big project.
Ooh.
Oh?
Yes.
Like expanding on it?
Yeah, hopefully expanding on it. And as to whether it would be connected to the Corrupted universe is still up for debate, because I'm still feeling like I could branch out from the Corrupted universe stuff for now. So try to make something new out of an existing story that with my newfound writing knowledge.
Which Asphalt is a fun little one too, because it's like it's got like this kind of neon, aesthetic, but with like a more kind of like contemporary, like urban setting. And it's that was a super interesting little thing. Like, it was so short, but it's just this just this fun little bit. So I'm very curious to see what that looks like expanded.
Myself included. I'm very interested where I'm going to take this. A fun fact as well. This project was actually part of a Machinima Hub collaboration called Same Script, Different Director.
Right. I think I remember that.
So only 3 people contributed to the project, where we were given a baseline script, and it's not really the same script anymore, because then we were told to change it up a little bit, make some tweaks, but the basic skeleton of it is still present. And that's what my interpretation of the original script is a really dark, urban gang bar scene.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. It's really stylish. It kind of reminds me a bit of, it feels like some of like Nicholas Winding Refn's work, who's like this, art house director that I really like Drive. Like, it kind of gives me Drive vibes a little bit. But definitely recommend that one as well if to anybody who hasn't seen it. But yeah, so it sounds like you're kind of interested in branching out in a lot of different directions over at Corrupted. So I'm very excited to see
got some stuff going on.
See what the future holds.
Thank you.
So where can the people find you? Where are you? I know you have a website, social media, all that.
Yeah. So you can find me on, Corrupted Films on YouTube, at Corrupted Films on Twitter, on X, and Corrupted Films on Threads, also Corrupted Films on Instagram, and the website corruptedfilms.applepvp.com. The Apple part is APPL3 instead of the regular spelled Apple.
Yes, as you are wont to do. Awesome. And of course, we'll have links to all of this stuff in the show notes, so you can find it pretty easily. So yeah, that being said, it's been a really pleasure to have you on the show, and I was really excited to be able to talk to you. And like I said, I think I've been a big fan of yours for a while, and so it's always really cool to be able to work with you on anything and pick your brain just any amount to get a peek behind the scenes of your work.
Yeah. Oh, thank you for having me.
Yeah. So
it was a pleasure.
That being said, thank you all very much for listening. Our guest today has been 0n3Appl of Corrupted Films. The show is edited by Loryn Pacheco, mixed by Raphael Pacheco, with original theme music by Mono Memory. Until next time, we'll see you all later. God bless.
Adios.